Okay, folks, good morning. I was able to get started probably the quickest of any other day. Got the settings correct on the channel there, and just started rolling. All right. Still working on the third cavalry figure. For this stand, or the sixth cavalry figure overall, depending how you want to look at it. And hope to get this guy done this morning. All right, we are going to move. Oh, this is the guy with the padded armor, the quilted armor. God, that's so weird that the parts that are raised are like the spaces between the pieces. It is so odd. I just have a feeling that no matter what I do, it's not going to look right. Well, my inclination is to make it a lighter color rather than a darker color, but let's do a couple things. Let's clean this guy's beard up a little bit, because I've gotten some flesh tones on part of it that's the beard, and it's kind of throwing me off a little bit. So let's find which one of these two sides actually has the liquids that are awake. And let's take some of that little bit of paint that's on the built up here off. There we go. A little bit of a build up there on the point. I think that thinner helps, but it's still bound to happen. It's not a big deal. All right. Oh, this guy's got leg armor. This guy's got leg armor. All right. All right, let's clean up that beard like we talked about. And this guy has a couple eyes that kind of stand out a little bit, unfortunately. We're gonna have to put white in there, but I did kind of a sloppy job with the flesh. Sloppy for me, anyways. I'd gotten too much painting yesterday. And that's with me not doing a third session, so. I wish these guys wouldn't paint these damn eyeballs, but they're bulging. I don't have really much of a choice. Huh. I picked up a little furry thing. Piece of lint. How strange. There we go. And then we'll do the same thing with the black. Just do a couple little vertical stripes. The thing about the eyes, no matter how good a job I do, they're over scale. There's a painter that used to paint stuff for DBA, and I think he's from Italy, from Italia. Yes, he's from Italia, and his painting. I like his painting, and all his guys have big googly eyes, but it works, you know. I don't remember what his name is, but he used to be pretty prolific. Used to put a lot of stuff on Fanaticus. But no matter what kind of a job you do on the eyes, they're going to be exaggerated. It just kind of works that way. Works out that way, whether you kind of want to or not. All right. Let's go ahead and get, I'm not sure which one of these is leather brown. It's probably this one. Let's go ahead and do the armor on the legs. He doesn't have the sand colored boots. This guy's marching to a different tune, definitely. He's got padded armor on his body, and he's got leather down here, like leather, like strips. I've also seen that as metal before. I'm gonna make leather on this guy. I think it's gonna look more appropriate down there. I'm gonna go ahead and do the shield next, because I'm not gonna budge on the shield color regardless of what color I use for this padded armor. So I'd rather build the padded armor around it so that it's a complementary. It's more than likely going to be almost like a buff color. So slow morning, Saturday morning. All right, so let's go back over here where we got the green at. I don't know what speed the fan's at, but it's just making just a little bit of noise. Which, if I can hear it, it's louder for everybody else. I don't hear well. Good morning, Ian. Yeah, it's still morning where you're at. Got a significant amount of painting done yesterday for a work day. And that's without me painting in the evening. Yeah, we need to bring this up a little bit. You do not use the Scottish spelling, I think is what it is. That's right. Isn't the Scottish spelling for your name when it's I-A-I-N? Yeah, it looks awkward. I'm used to it being how you spell it. Not spelled E-A-N. All right. red. This is the one we're using for a little flowery type device that is on his shield. Flowery like device. Not exactly flowery, but something along those lines. It's not like a Tudor rose or anything like that. It's just kind of gets inclinations of it. The Celts always had unnecessary vowels, that's right. And not enough clothes. Careful, you might find out you're a Celt. Oh, I wanted to do one of those genealogy things, but like I've said before, I want to find out stuff those tests aren't going to tell me. You know, they're like big into like, oh, you're more susceptible to having a heart attack because of your blood. I don't give a shit about that, you know? I want to find out, you know, who you're related to, but it's not going to find out. I'm not going to find out those things from those types of tests. Nope, definitely Anglo-Saxon. I'm pretty sure I'm not. But if I am, okay, whatever, you know, would be interesting to find out. You know, if I am, and I had a Visigothic ancestor, probably, somewhere. Somewhere. Speaking of Anglo-Saxon, I was going through my list of, you know, who Phil Barker decides are greatest generals and things like that. And I came across a guy I'd never heard of before. Now, most of the history I've learned on my own, not in school, because they don't teach you jack in school. Especially of the period I'm going to mention. But there's a guy named Penda, who's apparently an Anglo-Saxon king, that is considered by Phil Barker to be a brilliant general. I've never heard of it. Never heard of his name before. I'm sure he's known in England who he is. But he's in the 600s, and I guess there was multiple Anglo-Saxon kingdoms during that time. Not exactly a period I'm particularly interested in. 600s are fine, just not over there. But I'm combining the list. I'm making sure that it has all of the people from the latest DVMM Brilliant list, and the inert guys too, and I'm going to put them in the same list. I started working on that a little bit yesterday, and I'm interested in building more armies that have inert generals. I know that sounds weird, but we've done the brilliant generals, and we're going to do a losers generals for sure. Probably have to have some special rule like you got to pay an extra pip or something like that. Something dumb. You can't move guys around as well as you're used to. Now, there's a guy in the Norse Irish list called Rory O'Connor. Oh, Rory O'Connor. And he's an inert general. I got to read about him. I got to read why he's a loser, so to speak. I actually have a Norse Irish army to do, but it's a lot of foot. They can actually have some interesting allies. I think they can have Normans or something like allies and give them a little bit more variety. But that's like an army that is just completely ate up with solid auxilia. Completely just taken over by them. It's not going to work. That's some watery hell here. Not sure there's much evidence of Penda's brilliance. I never heard of him or her. I shouldn't jump to conclusions with a name like Penda. Could be a lady. Most Anglo-Saxon kings are long forgotten in Britain. Well, that's a shame. That's a shame. If I ever do an Anglo-Saxon army, I'm going to do an Anglo-Dane that morphs into, an earlier period like Alfred. Because, they wouldn't change that much in appearance. And I just make a morph and be able to do multiple. I actually would have no interest in it, other than I've seen those forged in battle figures, and they're beautiful. They're really inspiring. And, there's no need to do the Normans. Mitch already has the Normans, and I've already painted 2 stands of them. I'm not really interested in doing 1066 stuff. If I'm going to do Normans, they're going to be in Italy, eating grapes and stuff. They don't teach us history. They don't teach anybody history. And people aren't interested in it, There used to be this saying that I would hear all the time 30 or 40 years ago. It's the stupid Americans. Yeah, there's stupid people here. And there's stupid people everywhere. I've seen those interviews where they interview people off the street in Britain. There's people dumb as rocks there, just like they have them here. They just don't care, So there's ignorant people everywhere. And just like, there's people here that don't know jack shit about geography. And same thing in other places, I think geography is super important, especially if you're going to listen to the news. I don't know why you'd listen to the news, but you know, I think geography is more important than history. People don't know shit about geography. Penda was king of Mercia from the 620s to the 650s. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I don't like. I'll tell you what I'm prejudiced against. Prejudice? Maybe that's too strong a word. Nah, I'll use it anyways. In English history. There's one thing I do not like about English history, and that's Arthur. And, you know, I think it's a made up story. And somehow there's an Arthur character in Brilliant General. I'm like, come on, man. The guy probably didn't exist, you know? And if you look at all the stuff that Phil wrote about it, the notes on frickin' the English army at that time, the Arthur's army, is like frickin' almost like a whole page long. It's like he's got a hard on for Arthur. So oh well. Maybe because he considered him a national hero. Well, you guys can have a national hero that actually existed. You know, he got plenty of people to choose from. Just seems silly to me. Pick Penda instead. No, I don't know. I don't know anything about Penda. Never. I would have never heard of him if it hadn't been on that list. But yeah, there's a brilliant general, Arthur. And even though he may or may not have existed. Seems like he'd be make believe. And the reason why I think he should be make believe is if you take somebody like, there's people that are questionably crappier leaders than Arthur. And you know they existed. So why would somebody that was awesome be questioned whether or not he was real? It doesn't bode well. And don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with Arthur being a natural hero, but you have to admit, you know, he doesn't really deserve to be a brilliant general in the DBA list, DBMM list, if it was questionable whether or not he was alive. You know, it just seems hokey. Not sure how someone who wasn't English can be an English hero. There's a whole industry over here producing nonsensical books about Arthur. Okay, I'm gonna go into ignorant mode and say, so Arthur wasn't English. He would have been a Briton, right? Which would have been an ancestor. I don't know. I don't know shit about him. I don't know shit about him. Not really English. maybe because he may or may not have existed, then you can just ignore any faults that he may or may not have had. Because that's a problem when I say this before, is I don't really have heroes. Because people have like really big faults, you know, like for instance, I read a book recently on, because we're getting ready to play a game on it, on War of the Roses. And I knew very little about the War of the Roses. So I listened to Dan Jones' book on Audible. Can't remember if he narrated it or not. I'm thinking he did. I could be wrong. But it's an excellent book. And it's not confusing. And over a subject that, for people that are not used to learning about it, is very confusing. It's as confusing as the War of the Successors. Maybe even more so. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. And when I read things like that, I tend to, maybe it's an Americanism, but we like to put things into good guys, bad guys. We do. And most historical figures are neither, because they have really big, they might be like really neat in some ways, but then they have traits that I wouldn't want to deal with. And Arthur is a Briton, not English, according to the legends. Okay. The English Angles only arrived in the 4th century onwards. Okay. The Angles and the Jutes, right? The Jutes sounds like a name of a band from like the late 50s, early 60s. Tommy and the Jutes. So I'm reading War of the Roses, and I'm trying to figure out, like, who do I like? Who do I like in there? And I'm like, I don't like anybody. I like Edward IV. But Edward IV has, I've said it before, all these historical characters, they're all assholes, every single one of them. Like, I wouldn't be any of them, controlling people and, murdering people for whatever reason. But I'm liking Edward IV. But he's basically a whore. And I don't think very much of that character trait. I'm a big fan of loyalty and being noble. So I'm not a fan of people that are, sleep around every night with somebody different. So yeah, I don't have any, if you have a make-believe hero, you could just, since it's make-believe, you could just say, well, of course he's got to be your hero. He doesn't have any faults. But the reality is most historical people have really big faults, Famous people have, all kinds of problems you and I haven't even dreamed of. So, anywho, who's your least favorite English monarch? Uh-oh. Start a fight? No, I'm just interested. Like I'm reading through the that Plantagenet book is awesome by Dan Jones. It's just narrated by a fool, but there were no good guys in the War of the Roses. Yeah, it's just what it seemed like. It's just like a feud, Yeah, the Jutes migrated from Denmark. That's right. That's why it's called Juteland. Yeah, there's no good guys in most things. No, I don't know if that's something that stems from Westerns, American Westerns, where there's good guys and bad guys. I admit I'm not a Western fan. I can count on one hand how many Western things I've seen. It's not a. It's not a. I gotta be careful what I'm doing here. It's not a venue, a genre that I'm particularly interested in. So I'm reading through this guy. I'm reading through these monarchs, and I know about most of them. I did take history as electives in college, so I liked history even before I was wargaming it in this period. You know, I've always been a World War II war gamer. I just have not been a medieval ancients, that kind of stuff. So, like, oh, now I can learn about this stuff and like game it. Cool, you know. So I don't know much about the Anglo-Saxon stuff at all, because I really haven't read a book on it. Seems like the guy that was the Longshank's son is got to be pretty far up there. I forget who would he be. Edward II. Seemed like that guy sucked. He was particularly incompetent. There's other ones, but that one particularly stands out. And Phil decides that John Lackland is a brilliant general because of something he did in one battle. But I think he's the only fan of. I don't know if he's a fan of him, but he's probably the only person that would ever bring that up. King John's pretty much relegated to being on the loser list from everybody else. So whether he deserves that or not, that's kind of par for the course for that dude. Need some new white out here. Richard II and Henry VI were particularly useless. Richard II. He's the guy that was at the end of that Plantagenet book. I honestly don't remember anything about him. Sometimes not remembering people is not so bad. Do something totally horrible. Henry VI. Okay, so the guy that comes after the fifth. Well, let's see. They lose the. That would be the guy where they lost the 100 Years' War with him. Can't say I know anything about him. How about your favorite one? Who's your favorite English monarch? Of course, you can't really get into like the the periods I don't game, like William and Mary or something like that. I don't know jack shit about William and Mary. I don't war game that period, But just within the confines of DBA stuff. That's the great thing about historical gaming is, you know, I'll read about something, I'll want to paint the army, and then I get to learn about the leaders, you know, in that order. All right, we're going to do one there, and then it looks like there's two that go almost across there, okay, and then one in between, right? And then two that go up here, two that go up here, something like that. Go around the corner with these colors. What's the relationship between the Britons and the Welsh? Do the Welsh try to kind of claim that they come from the Britons or something like that? You're not a monarchist, so I don't have a favorite except maybe Charles I after they chopped his head off. Yeah. Well, nobody should be a monarchist these days. I mean, we can see through that shit, you know? I could see if you want to keep the royals around as figureheads or something like that, but nobody should be a monarchist. But then you know what? There's people that are, you know, that follow, you know, people like the Kardashians and stuff like that. And technically that would kind of make those people kind of a monarchist too, because it's kind of the same bullshit. You know, you're revering somebody who's basically just weird and famous. Slavic Orsezic, welcome. Yeah, it's been a while, but not long enough. I don't remember how to say your name. Slavic Ok. Oh, I already said it wrong. I forget it. You should have come back sooner. Welcome back. Yeah, you even missed me painting some Polish folks. Some Polish troops for my Moldavians. Yeah. How you been? Been on the front lines there where you're at. Hopefully not. That's still going on. Tells you how much I pay attention to the news. Okay, we need to bring this middle color up a little bit more. Yes, but my taxes don't support the Kardashians. Yeah, that we know of. Yeah. I wouldn't be a monarchist either. So, Polish troops on Facebook. Just so happens that I have actually been to Ukraine for several weeks. Uh-oh. Oliver Cromwell was not exactly a nice guy, but anyone who chops off a king's head can't be all bad. Yeah, maybe that's the one good thing that he did. I don't know much about him. I'm not a fan of Puritan style people. Not that I'm, a corrupt or a people that really idolize people that fool around. But the Puritans are no fun at parties. That's why they kicked them out on the Mayflower. Who went to Sarasota a couple weeks ago, and there's a community of Mennonites, Amish. I'm going to call them Amish. They might be one of the different sects of the Amish. And the thing that I find really weird about them isn't that they're pacifist. It isn't that they kind of keep them themselves. It isn't that they're puritanical. It's that why are you dressed? And I even said this. Somebody got a big laugh out of it. Why are you dressed like it's 1703 and you got kicked out of Europe? They kicked your ass out of Europe because you dressed like that. I don't understand that, Get with the program. Gregory, welcome. Yeah, just in time to wonder why those people aren't fun at parties. And I use fun at parties, loosely, not like, we need to have a swingers party or something like that. No, that's no good. That's no good. I'm just saying, beer never hurt anybody. A beer here or there. Yeah, why are you dressed like it's 1703 and you just got kicked out of Europe? I'm going to need to make this guy's symbol, rose, whatever you want to call it, a little bit bigger. Let's tinker with that before we go and put the green around it. Let me check my messages and make sure I don't have a message from the wife. She's been out surrounded by salt water for most of a week. And I suspect she'll probably be calling this morning. Yeah, the holiday's going to end here soon, so. How many elements of the Byzantines have I painted thus far? A lot. A Savoy stand, 2 Armenian spearmen, 3 light horse, so a Cuban light horse and 2 Turkish light horse, 2 stands of Normans, an 8-bow stand, an artillery piece, and 1 stand of cavalry. So whatever that is, 10, something like that. So I've got to do, this is the last figure of the 2nd stand of cavalry. I need to do 2 more stands of cavalry and the command cavalry and the command post, and then they're done. Whew. Yeah, you know, they'll get done when they get done, and I'm not going to start something else until these guys are complete. So we'll try to do our best, and our best will just have to be good enough. I'm trying to paint pretty often, so I'm not sure I can do anything better. I'm not going to just slop paint on and do a job I'm not going to be happy with. So I don't like looking back and seeing, man, I really did a rushed job on those folks. I'd rather not do that. I'd rather not do that. Should make for a flexible army against cavalry at least. Yeah, if it lacks anything, it's going to having enough heavy foot to stand up to stuff. And I can replace like the 8-bow with another cavalry. I can replace a couple things. The artillery with a light horse. It can be like an almost all mounted cavalry force. Which, you know, is nice if you're doing some kind of a theme where that's what the armies you need to bring in. They have to have, you know, mostly cavalry or I don't think we've done one that's all mounted, but we've certainly done a thing we call mounted mayhem, and that's at least 9 stands of mounted. Not counting elephants as one of those 9. So just mix it up, different ways to play the game, and play outside your comfort zone. Like I'm a person that I'd be perfectly happy playing heavy infantry all the time, but that doesn't mean that's the only armies I'm gonna build. Well, now I liked how that turned out better, so let's use this same color and brighten this one up. You could bring your Sarmatians, there you go. Or Parthians, if you have Parthians. There's a rumor I may be doing some Huns soon. We'll see, but I can't. I got to finish these guys. I don't want to have a half-assed finished army. So I really would like to get these guys done for Historicon, so I can think about doing the next guys. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff I'm interested in doing. So I want to do successors. I want to do Huns. I want to do. We did this game around 2007, 2008, one of those 2 years at Historicon, where everybody played a barbarian nation. It was like a fall of Rome type thing. So you have like 10 or 12 players, and there was 3 Roman players, and everybody else came in on the board. And it was a stylized map of Western Europe. Stylized because, you know, there was a place where it was the Black Forest, so it was very wooded and rivers, a couple cities and stuff to sack and stuff. So it was like a strategic type game, playing a strategic type elements on a tactical game board. We're all on one big map. And I have really fond memories of that game. And I would like to build some of the armies from that period. I've got Ostrogoths, you know, but I don't have like Vandals and, you know, so I could see, you know, having a Vandal force, Visigoths, and, you know, I don't want a Goth force that I can morph into one thing or another. I want specific Visigoth guys, you know. There's the whole, you know, I'm a painter, so I want to paint different things. Morphing is just fine if we're going to do videos and stuff like that, but if I'm going to go out and paint the army, I want it to be, you know, the actual guys. So, especially if it's something like the Visigoths where they could fight the Ostrogoths, well, you need two armies, you know. I'm not so worried about adding a few elements to these Constantinian Byzantines and making the Komnenans, because they don't fight each other. They're never going to be on the field at the same time. So, biggest problem in DBA is deciding which army to paint next. Yep. Have I done late Imperial Romans? So, yes and no. There was a theme that was the fall of Rome for one of the shows. Somebody picked it, and I went and bought from Old Glory. This was probably 2008, 2009. I had bought enough figures from Old Glory to do a late Imperial West and a late Imperial East army. And I started doing the East, and I've got 2 stands of Auxilia done. They're painted but not mounted. That's as far as I got. I ran out of time. See, I've kind of gone away from something that used to get me in trouble. I used to have these grand ideas of what I was going to paint for the next tournament so that I would rush to get it done. And invariably, I wouldn't finish. And when I got close to not finishing, I would just give up and then start fresh on the next thing and then start painting a new army. Instead of like, I don't give a shit whether I get them done for the convention, but this will be the next army I finish. Once I start working on them, I want to finish them, or I don't have anything to show for it. So I've got late Imperial Roman East, Book 2, 78B, started, but then Mitch has that army. So my interest in finishing them has like been nil, but I like the figures. So I have them, and I actually have West as well, but Joe has West. So again, not much of an incentive in starting that. I'm better off doing something that fights something else, but I don't know if that answers your question, but so yes, I have them, but I don't have them. Something like that. I have them, but I don't have them. It's not a period I love. It's not a period I hate. It's not a period I love. I just don't know what I'm going to do. But once I commit, I basically want a clean slate to think about it on my 30-hour trip to Historicon. And 30 hours meaning, 15 there, 15 back kind of thing. I want to daydream about it, And if I'm not done with these guys, I'm not going to be able to realistically think about what I'm going to do. Because by the time I finish them, may have changed my mind. But since I'm interested in just about every army, to some degree or another, especially the crummier ones, to be honest with you, because I'm going to be moving into the making scenario stuff direction more than the make armies that are good. I got enough armies that are good, and I honestly enjoy playing the crummier ones better. it's more white. This center thing is starting to look kind of like a rose, and I'm not sure I mind it. So many armies, so little time. Last time I checked, I have enough figures in lead pile to do another 97 DBA armies, yeah. You have grand visions, but I'm limiting yourself to the 4 Achaemenid armies just now. Okay. Book 160A, Book 160B, Book 160C, and then Book 27. Yeah! I'm going to forget my wife's birthday, but I'm going to remember that. Mitch has them all. Mitch has all the Persians, so no reason for me to do them. You know, I'm flexible, so I want to work on stuff that either somebody has no interest in or they don't have the troops for them. No point in fighting each other over that. Bang on, that's right. You know, I've got, who's the enemies of my Irish? Well, there's many of them, but the one I'm particularly thinking of. Anglo-Irish. I want to do an Anglo-Irish army. I want to do Longshanks. I want to do the Welsh. Pre-feudal Scots. And that's just over in the British Isles. You know? So what I just named after, that should keep me busy for like 2 years. And that's probably not the direction I'm going to go in next. So yeah, we're in this for the long haul. I think maybe just a little bit more. A little bit more white on here. The Welsh have an inert general too. I can't tell you what his name is because their names are unpronounceable. I could pronounce it if I'm looking at it. I don't know anything about the guy, but I want to know who he is. Seems if he's a loser. Not a loser, but you know, somebody who is indecisive. I think that's what inert means. He's kind of an indecisive guy. You have analysis paralysis at the wrong time. I looked him up yesterday, something like a Wayne Gwinder or something like that. That didn't look him up. I added him onto the sheet. Okay. That's pretty spot on for these two guys. Let me show you the shields side by side. And they are two different manufacturers, so the size of the boss varies a little bit. Looks like the lighting is a little bit better than it was yesterday for color. Let's see, I need to move this one. Not bad. And of course the third guy doesn't have a shield at all. These are the two stands that actually have a bow guy shooting a bow on them. That's the 3 figures of that stand as opposed to Let's see, where do I have to put it? This is the empty space on the screen. So weird to put it all the way over here. This is the other stand. And of course this one will not have the shooter on the end. He'll be probably in the middle or at the other end or something like that. Just got to mix it up for, variety. So all of them will have the same shield theme on each group of 3. At least that's what my intention is. So actually the completed guys at the bottom of the screen, they don't look bad as far as actual color in real life. Sometimes these videos kind of alter what things look like a little bit. Okay. And I don't know how these guys will perform in battle. I don't really care. I just want to be happy with how they look. That's all I can control. I can't control dice rolls, and it's not, honestly, it's not that important. It's just a talking point. All right, we'll grab another soda. We're out of coffee, so. Owen Gwynder, that's the guy. Owen Glendower. Very interesting character with a lot of crossover with others, including being a cousin of the very, very early Tudors. The Tudors. Yep, that's him. He was, 1400 to 1415 is what I remember his list. I don't remember what does, Owain Glyndwr. Glyndwr. Yeah, one of the easier to pronounce Welsh names, because they're out of control. They're just absolutely out of control. Okay, I'll be right back in a moment. And Mitch actually has Welsh. Somebody gave him the army because they hated it so bad. But it's the early one. It's the one that's all warband. And the problem with it is that it's kind of a shitty army list. And then they're not painted very interesting. Your mother's line traces back to his brother that was beheaded after a battle and had his head displayed in London for a while. Ooh. I take it he didn't win the battle. You did a great job. Let's cut your head off. What? Oh, well, we want to make a monument to it, and we want to honor you. No, odds are you lost the battle if you got beheaded. No bueno. No bueno. All right, let's go ahead and do the red. That's kind of the theme that we're going to have that ties everything together. They're going to have these little red pom-poms and things like that. Not exactly pom-poms, but... Oh, we need to take this stuff off the edge of this. This is cluttering the bristles. Beheadings are creepy. There's things that are just really creepy. Much more than a hanging. I'm not saying which one's a better way to die. I don't want to die any of those ways. But I'm just saying because, you know, you have part of your body over here and then your head's traveling somewhere else. It's just really morbid. It's really, really morbid. That and, you know, it may happen immediately, but there's like a whole procession and shit that goes along with it, you know, so you get embarrassed in front of everybody too. It's like, hey, there's that bastard that's going to lose his head. That's not good. You get made fun of before you get put out of your misery. Or get put into your misery. Really creepy. I've always had found it disturbing, beheadings. One thing that makes Glyndor interesting, especially for you, he's supposed to be the first Welshman to use the red dragon on his heraldry and his banners. Yes! I like him already. Yes! Who the hell wouldn't want a freaking red dragon? Dragons are awesome. So what you're saying is that he started the red dragon, and then the Tudors... Nah, I was going to say the Tudors used a silly rose, but that's not true because they just kind of incorporated the two, the War of the Roses, the white and the red one. Dragons are awesome, man. I think the Welsh got the shaft for this reason. Their flag now is awesome. One of the best flags out there is the Welsh flag. And it's not in the Union Jack. Like, the hell, man? You know? Mr. Dirk, welcome back. Yeah, oh, I like dragons and eagles and lions and all that stuff. And even those French dolphins. I like those things too. Geese. I like animal motifs. I'm a big heraldry fan. Big fan. I also don't have a shitty coat of arms. Maybe if I was, you know, had a bent over guy blowing a horn out of his ass or something like that, people were like, I don't really like to do heraldry. You know, but because my heraldry is a freaking badass black eagle, yeah, I like heraldry, you know. If I had, you know, a bunny rabbit that was being molested on a field of gold or something like that, I probably wouldn't like it, you know. Or Mitch's potted plant. I actually don't know if that's Mitch's actual heraldry, but there is a Harbach with that heraldry, and he says he doesn't know which his is, so that one's now his. Oh, man. Yeah, dragons are freaking awesome. I don't give a shit if they're make-believe or not. Yeah, you're right. You know me. That would do it. I like him. He was the last guy that was the Prince of Wales, right? I actually know someone from Wales that comes to our show here in Florida. He's come a couple times, and very nice gentleman. Those of you guys that don't like people from Wales, you're not talking about him. He's a really nice guy. Really nice guy. I love all the little infighting thing that people from the UK get into. I find it humorous. We do the same thing, but since we don't have countries per se, we pick on people from other states. So, like I hate people from New York, there's exceptions. I'll meet somebody. I'm like, that guy's okay. But, generally, I don't like people from New York. College of Heralds might have something to say about the molested bunny rabbits. Yeah. That's the first thing I could think of. I always like the bent over guy playing a horn out of his ass. That's from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. There's that one cutout scene that the heralds are announcing something and the guys bend over and they're all blowing horns out of their ass. And it's all done in that style. There's some stupid freaking heraldry out there, man. Some people definitely got last pick. Just like those stupid sports mascots. There's some really bad ones. They're the ones that nobody's heard of, but they're, bad. Mitch says he went to school where their mascot was a pretzel. There's much worse than that. That's not even close to being towards the bottom, because everybody likes pretzels, the hot ones. Everybody likes those. Even if you're gluten intolerant, you like those things. A buttery one? Oh, yeah. I don't have them because I don't need any more bloat. But I had this discussion the other day. I don't think we had it online, but it was about beer. Let me think of what the third choice. And I asked Mitch, I'm pretty sure it was him, what did beer go the best with? And I gave him a choice. Oh, I know what it was. A hot dog or a slash sausage, depending on how you want to look at it. Or pizza or pretzel. And I would argue that it goes the best with pizza. Without a doubt. Now, not Italian beer, okay? A pizza's Italian. That's where they stop. The Italians got no business going into the beer category. Yes, I've had Italian beer. It's as bad as you guys say domestic beer is here. And yeah, domestic beer here is terrible if you're buying one of the big brands that are mass produced. But the little microbrew, those are all those places have good stuff all around, but they're not the ones that you hear about, But beer and pizza. That's where it's at. Not that I ever have beer with pizza very often, but beer with a pretzel? I never have a pretzel. So you talk about heraldry. Next thing we're talking about beer and pretzels. Never know where you're going to go with this. Canadian beer is okay. Well, some American beer is okay, but it's not, Bud Light. Bush Light. Coors. Good Lord. Can I just have water? Thank you. Hot dog with German mustard and Moorstrom's beer. I think it's Canadian. Sounds like some Warhammer fantasy heraldry. Oh, I wouldn't know. I don't know jack about that Warhammer. What do you call German mustard? I know what I call German mustard. It's the one that has little seeds in it and stuff. And it's not like, yellow garbage. Yeah, I like that stuff. Rarely have it, but I like that stuff. You could see the little seeds in it. Yeah, that's good stuff. My wife detests yellow mustard, but you don't use it for anything. I don't know that we even have any in the house. It's so overpowering, it's like you might as well just have a shit sandwich with it on it because I imagine it would taste the same. It's so overpowering. All right, we need to do one of these Buffy colors. You can use this one. One of the things that I like the least about heraldry, and it's a legitimate heraldry, is that when they use that color that's called, I think it's called ermine, and what that is, it's a white background with all these little like hashes, and I dislike it because it doesn't look right. Even when you do it right, it doesn't look right. It just seems really out of place. Now, with that said, I'm probably at some point going to end up having a figure of that. Or what is it, the ones that are the illegitimate or the bastard son of somebody? It's like, here's this heraldry, but we gotta put this slash mark through you. It's like, this is what your family would look like. Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. If you weren't a bastard, and then you put a slash through it, like, screw you, low life. I don't like slashes that are denying heraldry to somebody. Buffy colors immediately makes me think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I haven't seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I saw the movie that was, bad. What came out, 91 or something like that? But I haven't watched any of the series. What's Buffy the Vampire Slayer colors? The shield? Well, I don't like yellow and greens, but I just had to tinker with it. This is actually inspired by a Little Big Man Studios one that they did, so. Can't say I've seen any Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Aren't you a little old to be watching that? Just saying. Hey, watch whatever you want. It's a popular show. I've never watched it. Warhammer is the only game played around here. That's a shame. In about 1,000 square miles, a shadowy group of about 5 orcs gather in secret on a Friday night. Which Warhammer? I'll be honest with you. If our group played Warhammer, it'd still be okay. Because it is about the people. I just don't like Games Workshop. We're going to discontinue crap. It doesn't work well for slow-ass painters like me. I can't get like, all right, let me get all this stuff. And just when I'm almost about ready to play my first game, oh, we don't support that game anymore. See, that doesn't work for me. I'm just too slow a painter. But then I don't like most gamers. I don't. They smell bad. That's a deal breaker right there. I'm not playing with you if you smell bad. You don't have to be one of the cool kids. It doesn't matter about it's not about that. It's just, you got to be human first. Not this, I'll shower next week kind of crap. That's unacceptable. I've actually never had that problem with anybody I've gamed with, but you need to be human first, Got to shower every day, pal. And wear functioning deodorant. And why is that? Why is it that people only play Warhammer? I'd say it's probably the same way here in this town. I mean, I don't game at the game stores here, but I'm sure that if anybody does any kind of war gaming that's with miniatures, it's Warhammer. I mean, that's no way to participate in history. It's not even Warhammer historical. You figure, okay, well, if it's Warhammer historical, at least you're learning something, or it's getting the juices going of something. But I forget where I was, but I want to say Tennessee. One time I went to Tennessee and they had a Warhammer store in a mall. This is a long time ago. I think they probably still have them, but I'm like, man. Don't have those around here. In a mall where you get like a lot of exposure to people. It's like, man, could be doing some historicals or some shit like that. But I have no experience with the game at all. I just know that there's 3 of their games I was interested in playing, and before I got geared up to do it, they already had changed their mind and stopped making them out. And they were Dark Future, 40K Epic. Probably that was the one I was the least interested of the 3. And the one I can remember what it's called. Man of War. And Man of War looked particularly cute. And they're just like, well, we don't carry this anymore. We're not going to expand. And it's like, man, they put a lot of money into stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, we're not going to do this anymore. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you they don't know how to run a business, because obviously they've been successful for many years. Or it seems like they've been successful for many years. But it's just not very captivating for people like me to want to throw in with them, because they can't be counted on there to. They're like unreliable allies in a battle. They're like, yeah, we'll be there to help you out, and then you're there sort of fighting a battle and they don't show up, or they leave you hanging. Not exactly something I would be a fan of. Let's get the dark red going on the little straps around the horse. See, dark red should be over here somewhere. Man, I had a pain in my shoulder. Time for drugs. You don't remember the last time I took pain medicine. Good thing. pill so I don't turn into a leper that I sometimes forget to take. Good thing it's not life-threatening or anything like that. Because historical miniatures do not really fit in with a modern digital age. Usually you see middle-aged or old guys like me. You're not that old. You're probably only 10 years older than I am. That's what most historical gamers are, 10 years older than me. You guys are in your 60s. There's some younger guys over there. I just want to learn about history. I want to partake in it. Speaking of which, I decided to take a plunge. I don't know if I'll regret it, but it's a small commitment. It's probably more popular in the UK, maybe the US too. I would think historicals are more popular in the UK. I would think. That's where all the wargaming comes from. You chaps invented it, so to speak, the modern version of it. At a Steam sale, and I picked up the Field of Glory Empires. I already have the Field of Glory game, and I'm like, maybe this will be fun to fool around with. I've messed with it a little bit yesterday, very little, and enough to realize, man, I need a tutorial. But it does have it where you can export the battles into the tabletop game, not the tabletop game, but the computer game, the tactical game, and then export them back. So definitely going to be playing it that way. And so I didn't know what I was doing, but I got myself into a battle right off the bat, and I'm like, and I played a couple turns of that. There's things that I really like about the game, better than DBA, but I don't like that it doesn't have a pip mechanic. That you can just move anybody you want, but Warhammer big in New Zealand. Yeah, but how are the players? Are they just petulant children that don't shower and don't paint their figures? Because if so, then I don't really care how big it is, you know? I don't really want to play with petulant children that whine about a game. You're there to have a good time and play honorably, you know. If you're gonna play dishonorable, then I don't want to play with you. Lose track of the white one again. I think it's this one. I don't need very much. Just a wee bit. Back in the 70s, before Games Workshop, most historical war games wargamers were in their teens and 20s. The hobby had only been around for a decade or so, so there were very few older players. You'll enjoy Empires. It's quite enjoyable, and it doesn't get bogged down with too much micromanagement. Only big complaint is last time I played, you couldn't have your ruler personally lead an army. Oh, that sucks. Well, maybe Pyrrhus won't get hit by a roof tile then. That's what started playing, my boy Pyrrhus. My boy Pyrrhus. Yeah, they actually had a short little campaign that happened to be the Pyrrhic campaign. I'm like, perfect. I did export the game, and in the game, my CNC was Pyrrhus in it. I wonder if I get him killed somehow. And then later on, I join a game and it still says Paris is the CNC. But I don't do that stuff to take the place of this. I use it for inspiration, you know. I like the medieval one better than the ancients one, because the ancients one, like the shields and stuff, are not, they're not as inspirational. Let's put it that way. But yeah, the campaign starts in 310, so that's a good year. I wish it would have been a little earlier. You know, like right when Alexander dies. That would have been perfect. So yeah, you know what? It's worth $20. That's all it cost with the Persian expansion. I haven't looked at the Persian expansion, but that one I pick up probably Croesus. See if I can play Croesus in that one, the Lydians. And they used to have that army, and he's over territory the Persians want. So, Paris campaign's tutorial, so I might have him as general rough as stack. Yeah, we'll have to check. But thanks for the warning. That kind of sucks, but because I have the Rome Total War stuff too. The Rome Total, it's just too complicated. There's too much going on. And some of the battles are just like, they get max. So you got two max stacks fighting each other in two Rome Total War 2 all the time. And it just got to the point where I didn't want to play the tactical battles anymore. I mean, the tactical battles, even though people say are boring in Field of Glory, they're even more boring in Rome Total War. Because all you do is extend your line as much as you can so it'll hold, and take your mounted troops around the back. And, you know, when they're engaged to the front, just rape them in the back until your enemy starts collapsing. And that's how every single battle is in Rome Total War. And I feel like sometimes I'm just like, just let them go, whatever. I don't want to micromanage and stop time that often, you know. Working on a version Empires for Medieval. I think it's called Field of Glory Kingdoms, but there's no release date yet. Okay. Well, we'll see. Like I said, it's worth $20. You know, I don't buy these games when they first come out. Well, first of all, they were already out by the time I got my computer, so I'm not paying $60 for it or whatever. I don't mind paying $60, but I feel a lot better about it paying a third of the price. I feel a lot better about it because then if it sucks, I don't feel like I got screwed. All right. I think it's time that we need to decide what color we're going to paint this guy. I'm going to do a couple little searches here. I think I'm going to come up empty-handed. First place I'm going to look is, I know I'm going to come up empty-handed on this one. I don't know why I'm even doing this, but shit. Where is the book on the Byzantines? The Osprey book on the Byzantines. I know I have it because I picked them up at a discount. They're not very useful. Okay, now Scythians, Roman army. I want to see if I can find an example of a figure with this padded armor. And I don't think it's going to have. I don't think old Angus McBride painted one of them in one of these books. I just don't think that that's the case. Do I not have the books and thought I did? That's possible. Byzantine or Macedonian. I thought are they somewhere else? Oh well. Let's just pretend I looked in there. I didn't find anything. All right, so I'm gonna do a little internet Google image search on Byzantine quilted armor. Because my inclination is to go ahead and do them in a light color, just for contrast purposes. But you know, I might find out that, oh, they used light pink or something like that. And that's also a light color. I just don't want them to look extra fruity for no reason. So we're gonna do Byzantine padded armor. Already comes up, that's a good sign. And let's go images. Oh, there's a guy wearing blue. Shit, I kind of like that. Unfortunately, he has a green shield. That's going to be a... Oh, hold on, we got a green one here? I got a green guy. A guy with green armor. Oh, I freaking like that. Me likey. Let me turn this thing around and show you guys. No, it's difficult to do. Let's do it this way. Oh, here's another one with them in yellow. I guess they have all kinds of different colors. All right. That's good news. I'm glad I looked in here. The guy's even on a horse. Should be able to come over here and do right click and go properties. That's the weird one. And then browse and then find the thing I just downloaded here and go done. And here it is. That's how we're going to paint this guy. And it'll go with a shield color. Not him. Him. And I'm going to use a different green because I want to. You know, the green on paint is going to be different than the green on, like, tinted. So use this other green that we weren't going to use the other day. I think. Let me look at it. Yeah, it won't go all the way to the top. That's going to be too bright. Or I could do something like this. That might actually be better. It's a starting point. Let's put some of this part green and see, adding black, where we go with it. It's going to be a watery mess, isn't it? Let's go ahead and put both of these greens out here, and then I'm going to do the lance, because I thought I had done the lance already. I guess we can make this smaller then. There we go. This is going to be too bright, I think. Even though I'm going to add black to it, I think it's going to be a little too Middle Eastern, a little too Persian-like. We'll see. I'll give it a fair shot. Let's go ahead and do the lance, and I'm trying to think what color we use for the lance. Maybe we use the buff for that. Should still be out here. Buff or dark sand. Doesn't really matter. They don't have to be exactly the same. You can use the dark sand because it's here. I actually was playing them. I played in a couple of the tournaments of the Field of Glory, and I did a little bit better than 50%, which is okay. But it just consumes too much time. I can't paint. There was a DBA guy that I was playing with regularly every day. Field of Glory. And I can't get any painting done if I'm doing that. So I had to take a break from it. He's a painter. I think he got it. But I don't have time for everything, so. I don't really want it to encroach on all the things I need to get done. One of my favorite video games by the Slytherin folks, though, is one they basically don't carry anymore. They don't support it. I don't think there's going to be any new ones coming out. And that's a series that there's actually 3 of. One of them was only for the iPad. And I bought it and I never got a chance to play it because they went through the 64-bit apocalypse and screwed me. But they don't have very creative names for the games. It's called, I think, just Battle of the Bulge. And then the other one's like Drive on Moscow or something like that. Battle for Moscow or something. And they're kind of a strategic type game where it's like a game with counters and area movement. And each unit represents a division-sized unit. And I really like the game because it's just enough. It's just strategic enough to be to not be too bogged down, and it has a random turn sequence that you don't know how it's I go you go, but you don't know how long each turn takes. So you might get 4 turns in a day, or you might get 8. You just don't know, and it's a fun little, really easy game to pick up and play. It's one of those that you don't need a manual. Just start clicking on stuff and you'll figure it out. And I played those a lot. But there won't be any more. Unfortunately, maybe somebody will pick up that formula. But, so one of them is Battle of the Bulge. One of them is 1941 at the gates of Moscow. And the third one was Desert Fox. I think that's what it was called. It's called Desert Fox, and it was basically a Lemaine. And I never got a chance to play it. Like the next day, I did that stupid version 11 upgrade. And I'm not a fan of Apple anythings. We just happen to have an iPad because of my wife's work. And I picked up some games on it back when I didn't have a computer. Because I didn't have a computer between 2008 and 2019. It was right before the pandemic. 2020. I didn't have a working computer at home. And so if I wanted to play a computer game, you know, something that's a little bit more involved than, say, something on a console, then my only option was for an iPad. And they're fun little games. I actually play them on the console. They work on the Xbox. So fun little games. If you're inclined, I think they can be bought on the cheap pretty good now. Less than $10 a game or something like that. I've played them a lot. Get my World War II fix in that way. Make sure I don't have a message yet. I'm sure around 8 I'm going to have a message or a phone call or something like that. So I may need to tune out for that for a little bit. But I figured out how to keep this thing rolling and disconnect the phone. So is the phone just being used as a camera? And the paint's coming up on the front of this brush a lot more than I ever remember it to. Well, gives me a purpose to use this brush cleaner for something. Time for lunch. Goodbye. Okay. Thanks for stopping by. Time for lunch. I'm ready for lunch. I did not have a proper breakfast this morning. had an improper breakfast. I wonder where those two Byzantine books are. They're somewhere. They got one that's what, like 800 and something to like 1118. I have two of them. Doesn't matter. They wouldn't have that picture of that padded armor in there. And that's what it's turned into. Is I get most of my painting inspiration from Google image searches more than anything else. Doesn't need doesn't mean that whatever somebody's version of something there is what I want to go with, but it does give me something to some inspiration that then I can decide whether or not I agree with their interpretation of it. So let's take a look at this green I wasn't so sure about and see what happens with it when I add black to it. If we can tinker with it, or is it just a lost cause and we don't need to go in that direction. Let's get some black here and let's see what this color does, this color profile. I think it's okay. So I'm gonna go with it. I think it's okay. Let's add a little bit more. This is probably as bright as we're going to go, or as full colored as we're going to go with this. I may have to go on a coffee run. I don't want to put it off. I didn't really want to go at 5 in the morning. Mainly because I was lazy and didn't want to set the alarm and all that shit. So, not that it's necessary, but just kind of habit. We're going to have to paint this, and not in a way I would have preferred. Not a fan of painting the ridges in between them. It just seems like that wouldn't be the case. How the stuff went, unless it's some kind of like a puff jacket. Let's add a little bit more white. See where that takes us. Okay. That doesn't look too bad. And it'll look better once it's sealed. See what these guys look like next to each other. It wasn't so damn dark. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. All right, I think I'm in dire need of going to get some coffee, so we're going to shut off for now. And not sure if we'll be back on later today because I got to travel today with the wife when she gets back in town. But anyhow, hopefully these guys will be done soon, and you guys can see some of that online when they're finished. Anyways, happy Saturday to you guys. Enjoy your time with family, painting, whatever it is you want to do. And we'll catch you guys soon. Not tomorrow, though. There won't be any. I'll be out of town. Maybe sometime on Monday when I'll be back. But enjoy your weekend, folks.